Alright, so welcome back. We've been blessed with a nice day, so I figured it would be a good opportunity to get out of the shop and give you guys an in-depth review and my opinions on the 2016 Triumph Tiger 800 XCA. As we turn onto this gravel section here, I'll just touch real quickly on the traction control. Kicked in a little bit there. It's one of the key features that I really like about this bike. At first I didn't think I would like it, but in the off-road setting it works really well. It allows the rear to spin up and allow you to steer with the rear wheel without being intrusive. That in conjunction with the throttle by wire, it works really well, and it makes it a very easy bike to get comfortable with. Today we're on some kind of slippery gravel. It's been raining, so it's a little wet and there's not a lot of rock on top of this road, but it highlights how the Triumph Tiger handles these conditions pretty well. In fact, if it weren't for the wind, I'd be going a little bit faster through here, but if I go any faster, you guys probably won't be able to hear me. Some of the other key features that I really like about this bike are all of the luxury items that it has. Starting off with the electronic cruise control, that's a key feature that I use all the time. The heated seats, both front and rear, as well as the heated hand grips, all easy to reach with these big buttons on both handlebars. I like those and I use them a lot. The cruise control comes in really handy for when you, like me, have to travel to get to the spots where you want to ride and then have a longer trip back home. In those situations, you can just set it and it makes that trip back really comfortable and less painful. I'm not a big fan of highway riding, so it makes it at least bearable to me. So the next key thing that I'll highlight here is the engine itself. Triumph really does a fantastic job, probably more so than almost any other motorcycle that I've ridden, in terms of how smooth this engine is. It's really just an unexplainable linear power band that you really have to ride to appreciate. As I've mentioned before, in the off-road conditions, right down low, and this is something that they addressed in the new model, it is a little bit difficult because first gear is a little long, so getting to the power to climb up a hill can be a little bit difficult. But on the road and anywhere else, you really appreciate this smooth throttle response. The triple engine just lends itself to a really easy to manage power band. It never has a big hit. It doesn't have a whole lot of grunt like a V-twin, but it's somewhere in between, and it makes for a really nice riding style. I really like that about it. The 2016 model year, Triumph went with the WP suspension. This is suspension that KTM has been using for years in their off-road bikes. And again, it's another thing that really makes this bike handle pretty well in off-road conditions. It needs a little bit more bottoming resistance in the front, but I might try, adjusting the suspension a little bit. I haven't done anything with it yet, but just simply because the Triumph, does have its weight a little more over the front wheel, which adds to highway stability. That does create a scenario where if you're going through rutted terrain, it will tend to bottom on the bigger, sharper bumps. And it is something that I pay attention to when I'm riding the bike off-road. Sometimes I'll even go as far as to kind of, gas it up and lighten the front wheel so that it'll skip across those more abrupt sections. Things that I really love about the bike is it is extremely comfortable. This is probably the most comfortable stock seat of any bike I've ever personally ridden, and I just find it very easy to sit in the saddle for hours on end and not get sore. Obviously, when you're off-road, you're standing more. The standing position on this bike is not the same as something like an Africa Twin, but it is still manageable and can be improved by rolling the bars forward just slightly. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The Tiger also comes with the increased capacity on the alternator, so that's set up right from the get-go to allow you to run all of these accessories and not wear the battery down on the bike. I really like that feature because I do, especially with the video equipment, tend to run a lot off the bike, recharging batteries for cameras, running heated gear, things of that nature, the GPS unit. So having that increased wattage does come in handy. Sometimes people don't realize that, when they get a bike that doesn't have that feature and they start plugging all those things in, that you're likely to get to a point where your battery is actually losing capacity while you're riding down the road and may not restart in the morning. those are some of the things that I really like about the bike. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the minor niggles that I have. One of the first ones ties into the 12-volt accessories. I really like that it has all those outlets, but they are the European style outlet, which means you basically have to go and buy adapters or wire plugs or whatever to get regular items to plug into that. It really would have been nice if they would have just used the standard US socket so that everything could just plug right in. But again, minor nuisance and something that's easy to work around. Another minor sore spot with me on this bike is the plastic handguards. Of course, I can't fault Triumph too much for this because every bike manufacturer does it. I just don't get it. If you're riding these bikes in off-road conditions, they are not going to protect the levers at all. In fact, both my front brake lever and my clutch lever, the little ball ends are broken off because of small drops in off-road conditions. And as soon as that handlebar hits the ground, it's just going to snap them right off. So that's something that's easily addressed in the aftermarket, but it does suck that you have to turn around and buy that after buying the bike and spending the money that these go for. But again, they're not alone in this, so I can't really fault them for it. KTM and everybody else does the same thing. Honda too on the Africa Twin. It's just something that's pretty much unavoidable. Lastly, I'll just talk real briefly about some of the accessories. Like I said, when I bought the bike, it did come with the Triumph Adventure saddlebags. They're nice aluminum case bags. They fit on the bike really well. They're easy to take on and off, and they're matched to the ignition key, which is a really nice thing to have, instead of having to carry a separate key for your bags. However, the latching mechanism that they have, in my opinion, is a little too complicated. They tried to be clever with it, make them to where they have like little, red and green icons that tell you whether the bags are locked into place or not. However, the clipping mechanism, because it's so complicated, what happens is if you're riding in off-road conditions, the little rail on the backside can get bound up with, sand or dirt or debris. And then what you have to do is you have to take that back rail off, clean everything out, reassemble it, and then they'll go back on just fine. But it just is a little more complicated design than I think what really needed to be. The aftermarket bag market has accomplished this through simpler mechanisms like locking pins, things of that nature, which just hold up well and endure the off-road conditions a little bit better than this setup here. But again, I do still like them. They are really nice bags. They've taken a beating well. In fact, it's a demo bike, and the left bag was a little bit dented when I bought the bike. I don't care because I use it in conditions where they're going to get dented up worse, and that's fine by me. These bikes are really, in my opinion, made to be ridden, made to be enjoyed, and not just garage queens. So those type of things don't bother me at all. So I think overall what I would say is that if you're in the market for like a middleweight adventure bike, the Triumph Tiger 800 is a great option. If you are going to be doing the off-road situations, definitely go for the XC lineup. The XR lineup is the one that's more street-oriented, alloy wheels, and the Showa suspension versus the spoked wheels, the 21-inch front that's on the XC lineup, and the WP suspension, which is definitely much better for the off-road scenarios. So definitely, make your decision there in terms of whether you're going to do more street, more off-road. Both bikes are capable, but again, if you're going into off-road situations, I just really like the confidence that I get from those spoked wheels and the WP suspension, which makes a huge difference. Considering that the Tiger was not even a bike that was on my radar, I'm really happy with the decision that I made to purchase the bike, and I can't say enough good things about it. I've enjoyed all the miles that I've put on it, and I look forward to doing more mileage this year. Got some big trips planned, doing a Colorado BDR, so stay tuned for that. And then we also have some local rides set up, and I'll be trying to film as many of those as possible. Really going to be working this year on trying to capture some decent stuff for you guys, hopefully keep you interested. So we're still working hard at growing the channel, so if you like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd hit that thumbs up button, hit the bell for the notifications to get notified anytime we upload a new video. Be sure to share this with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, any other social media channel, and be sure to subscribe. With all of that said, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.